Hey guys, welcome back to another Late Night Strange. And tonight we are going to be talking about some of the noises Bigfoot makes alongside with some of the vocalization that they make. By doing so, we are going to be visiting some of the most profound videos of Bigfoot vocalizations out there and getting to some of these backstories of the videos that were posted up on YouTube. Let's not waste any more time and get right into it. Let's get started. So before Bigfoot gained its popularity in 1967, after the Patterson-Gimlin film that came out, there's been reports of strange noises that came out of the forest from those who lived in the countryside or backpackers camping deep in the backwoods. It's pretty obvious those who live in nature will know what kind of noises animals make. But sometimes people hear vocals and noises that just can't be explained. First on the list, we are going to be listening to one form of communications that is also known as tree knocking. There's been many of these reports of tree knocking throughout the world, and Bigfooters believe that tree knocking is another form of a communications between Bigfoots. Speculation even goes as far as to saying that these Bigfoot use these tree knocks to hunt deers, helping them drive deers to one location. Believe it or not, there has been also reports of people seeing Bigfoots going tree to tree, knocking on these trees to see if they're hollow, and listening inside to see if there's any possum or raccoon living in it. Once they hear what's inside, they will then tear the tree apart, catching their prey and eating it. Down in Florida, there's also been speculations of skunk apes using this technique to find grubs and insects that lives inside. Next on our list, we have the Bigfoot howls, or also known as the Ohio howls. The Ohio howl was first recorded by Matt Moneymaker in 1994. It was the first well-known moan howl that's ever been captured on audio. This popular recording came from Columbiana County, Ohio, near Wellsville in the Ohio River. These moaning like sirens and howls can be heard occasionally late at night in the fall, echoing off the hills on both sides of the Ohio River. So these moan and howls are known or thought to be large male Sasquatches. Even though these howls are reported across the United States, it is most well known as the Ohio howls. Next on the list is the samurai chatter. So this recording was obtained in the remote parts of the Sierra Nevada mountains in California. So Ron Moorhead can be heard in the foreground shouting to imitate the animal as he tries to encourage the animal to continue making sounds. Here is that audio.
Right there, just see movement right through there.
So this samurai chatter, or also known as the Sierra sounds, was recorded by Ron Moorhead and his buddy Al Berry in 1971. Al Berry was a skeptical reporter that investigated the Bigfoot phenomenon. As they were setting camp for the night somewhere between Lake Tahoe and Yosemite National Park, they woke up to these really bizarre cries, whoops, and just everything that you would want to hear coming out from a Bigfoot. I encourage everybody who's never heard the full audio version of the Sierra sounds to click in the link in the description box below, because that's where I'll be putting the full video audio version. Believe it or not, the Sierra sounds are the only Bigfoot recordings that has been scientifically studied, time-tested, and accredited as genuine. So there's a lot of credibility behind this. Sound experts even study the audio, and many claim that the human vocal cords can't even produce the noise that was recorded that night. Next on the list, we have the Bigfoot whoops. These whoops were also recorded alongside with the samurai chattering in the Sierra Mountains. To me, that sounds like a big old monkey, but interestingly enough, so primates would use whoopings and howling to protect their territories against other primates, and also they would use it for mating, so quite interesting. So my guess is a lot of these Bigfooters would use these howlings and whoopings to kind of draw out the Bigfoots if they are in the area. And as you watch a lot of these Bigfooters go out, they will use that in tangent with the tree knocks. Next on the list, we have full vocal conversations of Bigfoots communicating with each other. If you were to ask me, man, I would be terrified of the woods after hearing something like that. I'll probably never ever camp ever again or go out fishing alone in the woods ever again if I heard that. But holy crap, that was crazy. But other than that, that vocalization was actually recorded also by Ron Moorhead and Al Berry in their Sierra Sounds Part 3. So I will also attach that down in the description box below. Check that out, it is a wild recording. So these are just some of the examples of Bigfoot vocalizations. But those of you who wants to hear a lot more could just comb through the internet. There's so many of these recordings out there, but I just want to show you some of the most profound, well-known recordings out there, and you know what they are called today. Before I leave you guys, I just want to read Al Berry's journey and how he got these Sierra sounds. For those of you who don't know who Al Berry is, he's the skeptical reporter that went up with Ron Moorhead to the Sierra Mountains hoping to find a hoax, but came back with these crazy recordings that pretty much changed the whole trajectory of proving to the world that Bigfoot might actually exist, even if they didn't catch it on camera, because we all know that Bigfoot is really blurry. But having these recordings solidifies us that there's actually something out in the woods that is making these noises, and even scientists can't explain it. Al Berry, a former Vietnam officer who was responsible for fostering the original studies of Bigfoot recordings at the University of Wyoming. I often wonder sometimes if he actually encountered any rock apes in Vietnam while he was there. But him being a skeptic, I'm sure he didn't, so anyways. So Al held a master's degree in science, and in 1971, he was the investigative reporter that was allowed to trek into the Sierra Mountains with these hunters that said there were some very strange things happening up there. So without further ado, these are Al Berry's words. A number of years ago, I was a newspaper reporter and a freelance journalist, and had the questionably good fortune to encounter Bigfoot, as the phenomenon is called. At a remote deer hunters camp in the Sierras, I and several men were witness to a presence, if you like, a several creature who were actually crafty enough to avoid observation, but freely vocalize and whistle several times without a doubt to us, and left big prints of bare feet around the snow and pine mats. Things like this happened not only once in my presence, but several times from late September through the week on November, when heavy snowfall drove us out of the 9,000 foot high wilderness area. I hiked into this camp with pre-knowledge that the hunters claimed something strange has happened there. Beginning the previous season, I backpacked with the state-of-the-art Sony portable tape recorder, some plaster of Paris, and my wits, truly convinced that somebody was pulling my leg, that it might be mine, and that I would expose the hunter's mystery. The first time in, nothing happened, but I saw some inordinately large, but old, toe ball and heel foot impression at a sandy location. They seemed static, but I didn't dismiss them. I rather figured this was evidence that the finger pointed back at one or more of the hunters and just some jests. But the second time in, things were different. As dusk became dark night, something approached camp behind a ridge above, raping on woods and rocks as it came. And when it arrived, two vocals that I could discern as vocals, and the sound carried through the trees as I had never heard any human voices carry ever before or since. And it whistled, a clear, beautiful whistle like a bird might make, between its kind, and at one point back and forth with us. This encounter went on for nearly an hour and a half, and another followed on the second night, and there were other encounters I can attest to later that season. I was able to get reasonably good tape recordings of the sound and interactions, and we cast several of the foot impressions, both in pine mats and snow. I even looked high and low for evidence of the joke, including searching for other belongings while they were away hunting. I wasn't a novice investigator of facts, but I came home stumped, basically with nothing to write about until the story unraveled by itself, or I helped it in with further research and investigation. I pursued the matter to an end in 1978. Then after, Dr. Arlen Krillin, then at the University of Wyoming, and Norwegian graduate student of electrical engineering, Lassie Hurdle, presented their findings of the second recording at the University of British Columbia, also known as the Anthropology of the Unknown. By this time, I have taken a fair amount of ridicule and scorn from the academy community in an effort to enlist scientific interest. At least one prominent scientist, Dr. Philip Lieberman, then at the University of Connecticut, who is also an expert in primate vocalizations, at least of the rhesus monkey, at first offered to help, then accused me of being a former student who he had flunked to was trying to discredit him. Oh my goodness. Another PhD on the West Coast who Krillin referred me to used the recordings in his classroom, an example of how clever people can be when it comes to hoaxing others. So this is the perfect example of somebody who is, credible. People in really high professions or just in reporters or scientists don't come out and tell the world about Bigfoot. It's all because of this. Once they speak up about something that they have experienced, if it sounds way too out of this world, then they become labeled as a nut. But that is all I have for you guys for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode of Bigfoot vocalizations. For those of you who want to see the full audio version of the Sierra sounds, those videos will be down in the description box below. And I will see you guys on the next episode of Late Night Strange. Goodbye guys, and thanks for watching. Stay spooky.